Welcome to all of our listeners. This is Gil.
And this is Lou.
And you're listening to Good Talks with also,
A pot in the background.
pots being banged. I didn't even think that was still happening, to be honest with you.
No, that person must have been on vacation for like the last week because they haven't been banging the pot.
Right. I haven't heard that at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Again.
But they're back.
Yeah, I heard them. Tonight is one of those nights where I guess it's a little bit more serious than normal, and unfortunately, it's one of those conversations that we should be having. Definitely, we should be having. We didn't want to at first. We were like kind of debating, should we have this conversation? Should we not?
Well, because we try not to be.
Why are you getting all close? I don't want to see you.
I feel like weird that you're turning around to look at me.
And again, you're not talking into the mic.
I'm moving my chair.
And you want to do that. You should have done that when you were muted.
Whatever.
I can't with this person. I swear.
Always complaining.
Making so much noise. But yes. Hey, y'all close? Jesus. Do we not sleep in the same bed? Crying out loud.
This is the same problem we have at night.
Yeah, you on
your
me.
Hugged up
You
fat
on
pillow.
me. That's what it is.
No.
For crying
You
out
and your
loud.
Hugged up fat pillow.
So, yes. So while I'm dealing with this person over here, I have to get close now. We thought about, going in a different direction. We didn't, we really didn't want to talk about things that were heavy and I guess deal with something of this nature, at least right now. We kind of wanted to go with the lightheartedness and some good positive stuff, but at the same time, I felt like I can't keep dealing with this and not saying what I feel, and that was pretty much it for me.
Well, for me, I guess my point of view is that it's kind of been all over the news and everything. Pretty much I think we're on 314 of the protests, according to Cuomo's conferences. And yeah, you get news every day. We're based in New York City. So not only were we the epicenter of coronavirus, but now, there's been a lot of looting and rioting and peaceful protests, and not necessarily in the area that we live in, but it affects the whole city. I don't know if everyone's aware, whoever doesn't live in New York, that we've been on a curfew, 8 p.m. curfew. It's still light outside curfew.
Well, that was lifted, though. That was lifted
today.
Today it was lifted.
Yes.
But we had the curfew going on for, the past week, I guess?
Yep.
And
fresh out of quarantine and right into curfew.
I mean, I don't know. It's almost like, do I understand why the curfew happened? Of course I do. Why? Because it was, a lot of chaos.
Yep.
And this is where the whole protest and looting comes into play. Now, when you watch the news and the media coverage, a lot of times they'll say, they'll consider the looters to be protesters, just straight protesters. They won't say the looters; they'll say protesters.
Well, I was going to say, I think we need to stop and define what each thing means to us, at least, and what it should mean to everyone else, and that way the differences. Because I mean, not that anybody is, they need to be educated, but sometimes, like you said, there's a little bit of a blurred line when it comes to the media, and you don't want to lump everyone in the same category because it's not fair and it's not right. So, protester.
Are you breaking it down now?
Yeah, protester.
OMG.
Protesting normally is nonviolent. Normally, they come out to voice their opinion or their beliefs in a peaceful manner. Normally they do marches or sit-ins, or some of them, I've seen some of them laying down on lawns and stuff in certain cities. And there's usually not much of an incident. It's usually, not as the protester side. Unfortunately, some of this violence that's been going on has actually been going on from the policing of the protesters, where, there was rubber bullets were being used and tear gas, to, I guess, try to control or disperse the crowd. So that has gotten a lot of coverage on TV and in social media too. And then you have the looters and the rioters, which is very violent. Either with police officers or just breaking into to stores and stealing and burning garbage, because I saw a lot of garbage cans on fire or police vehicles on fire. So that it's usually in the middle of the night. Protesting could be a day. Usually it's in the morning or in the daytime, or can be even in the evening. So when you see certain things going on in the news, you kind of have to first understand what it is and then listen to what they're trying to convey. And obviously some of the media outlets are a little bit more less opinionated and more factual based than others. That's it for my definitions.
Whoa.
How about you?
Okay. Well, I mean, I've had conversations with students, and what I tell them all the time is, right now you're getting your news from all different types of places: social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, wherever. They need to make sure that they are getting their information or whatever information that they get, that they need to cross-reference, check it, go to wherever they can to find out whether or not that statement or whatever is happening, whatever they see is true, and not just take whatever they see from, their Instagram or whoever is on Instagram for face value. I think that's one of the biggest issues that we face. And it's almost like, what's that called again? We Spanish people call it bochinchera, or bochinche rather.
Gossip columns or that kind of stuff.
Right. It's basically rumors. It's gossip, right? So, you know how many fights people have been in from a rumor, a gossip, right? All the time. People are fighting all the time because they said, oh, so and so.
I heard,
said,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. And they get all pissed off and they're probably pissed off at the person, and the person actually never really said or did anything like that. It's just a rumor. So again, it's the same principle. You look online, you see stuff, and you're, right away you go, oh, wow, that's fucked up. That's messed up. This person did this. This person said that. Mind you, the media, obviously we all know, can, stretch things out. They can exaggerate statements, images, videos, cut things off.
To the live thing, I got a message that the live feed might have cut off.
Oh, I still see it as we're live.
We're still live?
Yeah.
Let me check the link too.
So I'm going to continue going while you...
Yeah, you go ahead. I'm just making sure that we're still on.
So I got lost right now.
Yeah, it's on. Go ahead.
So yeah, basically, again... with media, it all stretches out. People, take whatever it is that they're seeing from all these social medias, the apps and stuff like that, and whatever people are saying, and they're running with it. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, bad stuff happens with that. And that's where it kind of, that's where our downfall is, right? Everyone wants to, I think Denzel Washington one time, and again, I don't remember the exact quote, but he basically said something like to the effect of, I guess real news. It's not about real news anymore. It's about who can get the news out fast.
See, and that reminds me, because I'm sorry, I am a culprit of, or I am guilty of reading like those gossip magazines, like I don't know, Us Weekly or People Magazine or whatever, and a lot of the times, some of the ones that are a little less reputable try to come out with these like salacious stories so that they can be the first ones that said it. So like, I don't know, forever Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt were getting divorced way before they were ever getting divorced, or pitting one person against another person. So and so doesn't like the other person, blah blah blah. So it's basically, to me, it's the same premise. It's like you're starting a rumor or gossip in hopes that it's true or comes to become true, so that you can then claim you were the first to report it.
That's something that I cannot stand. I cannot stand that, actually.
Well, to me, it's become more popular, and that's the unfortunate part. And that's where, to me, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. I think that's where a lot of these news commentary shows come from instead of just news reporting.
You're talking about like the CNN, Fox News, like Don Lemon, Cuomo,
Yeah, because
Laura Ingraham.
Some of them, and this is why, and I'm guilty of watching a lot of stuff on YouTube. But what I do is I might watch, let's say, the first few minutes of a clip, and then they then start talking to experts or so-called experts, and then that's where they're going into then opinions or trying to analyze it or whatever. To me, that's a person's opinion of it, not necessarily the truth about it. So that's where you then blur the line of just reporting the news, or then you're now commenting on it, and therefore you're putting out your
whatever
thoughts.
Your belief is, whatever
Exactly.
your thoughts, or whatever it is, it's going to save your ass.
And perpetuating theories.
Yeah, it's whatever it's going to save your ass and keep you getting paid. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it is.
Because everybody wants sponsors and ratings. That's
right.
what it's all about.
So of course, I mean, for me, again, with all of this is. My takeaway from this is, again, looting is horrible. And I've heard the sides, again, going through this is just like everything can be an argument. Everything that we go through is an argument. Everything that we go through is an argument. Every side has a valid point. But the question is, how far do you go? Like, how far would you go with it? And for me, with the looting, I've heard, people are just fed up and they're looting and they're like, take notice because, we've been going through crap for so long and so on and so forth. And, now we're just fed up and we're tired of it. So all these stores and local places, obviously local places as well, are getting destroyed. And it's just like, really? So who are you really hurting the most here?
Yeah, but who are they hurting when they run out of the store with a bag full of Nike sneakers and stuff?
Well, let's just say for the big companies like Nike's or Foot Locker or something like that, you're not really hurting.
You're not hurting them.
You're not
they
hurting
have
the
insurance.
company. And, when it comes to the small places like the mom and pop stores and stuff like that,
people that are hurt.
They're the ones that are going to be hurting the most because, again, I personally don't feel like this, this world gives a shit about the mom and pop places. Because they're not bringing in the money like that. They're not the Amazons that are not paying the taxes.
They're
and
not
stuff.
Bringing in the volume that the larger companies are doing.
They're not bringing the money in like that. And obviously, people like, or rather, companies like Amazon that don't pay any taxes. I think it's it's shit. It's horse shit. It's crap. I think it's just wrong. So again, who are we really hurting? So I understand that side where it's just like, what's the point of looting, especially your own community? But then it's the other side is, we're pissed off, we're tired. Well, I'm tired too, but I'm not gonna run to the damn supermarket and break shit. I'm not busting stuff up. I'm not gonna go down to Target and go steal a TV or whatever it is. I would like a 70-inch or something like that, but I'm not gonna be lifting that bad boy up. Either way, I'm not going to do anything like that. It's just, I don't really see the logic behind it. Again, for me, and I'll go back to the very beginning when the whole Black Lives Matter movement came in. I had no idea. I'm not going to say I had no idea what it was. I knew what it was. But my thing was, when I first heard it, I was that person that said, all lives matter. I have no shame in saying that's what I felt, because in the beginning, that's what it was to me. Like, I'm a person that feels like humanity matters no matter what. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Spanish. It doesn't matter what you are. That's what my thought process was. But I think it was until now where I heard more and more people
breaking it down
where I could understand, okay, I get it. Black life, of course, every other life matters. But right now it's about black lives. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it is. And I thought to myself, oh, okay. All right, I get it now. I mean, does that make me a bad person, though? I don't think it makes me a bad person if I felt like, all lives matter at that moment. And I know a lot of people get ridiculed for it because they say all lives matter. But, again, they could be like me.
Well, I think the good thing about you is that you listened, you read up on the comments or whatever, and you made a conscious decision to rethink what your initial reaction was. And that is what's missing in a lot of people. A lot of people get stuck on their beliefs and they don't want to hear anything else.
Right.
They don't care. It doesn't matter. It's not true. It's fake news, blah, blah, blah. Like the fake news now tagline is basically another one, talk to the hand, my face is not listening or whatever the hell. It's basically a way to shut down a person trying to convey a thought.
Right. It's whatever it is that you don't believe. Whatever it is that you don't, obviously you believe in one thing and you don't want to hear that other person and be wrong about it. Be told that you're wrong. Mm-hmm. So again, it's almost, it's this whole thing is basically it's a Trumpism, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. Where
we had Reaganomics in the 80s, and now we have Trumpisms.
So here you have a situation where if it's being reported right away, it's fake news. So everyone is fake news, no matter what. Everyone is fake news. So again, I remember having to deal with, and just today, as a matter of fact, like I told you today, I was on the Yahoo website. You know how those who go on Yahoo.
If you look at the articles that's on Yahoo,
they usually have, a section where people leave comments. And I was reading the comments, and of course you have a lot of idiotic comments, from people. And someone had mentioned that that Black Lives Matter was sold, that they had sold it. And I guess their thing was that, Black Lives Matter, it was all about the money, and then it was other people who were kind of controlling it, and it was done on purpose so that way we could pretty much be mind screwed. So I asked the person, I responded to the person, I replied asking that person if they had a source, like if they can show the source wherever they got that information from. Mm-hmm. And I actually have it right now. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. And that person said, and this is funny too, it's so hilarious. So the person goes on to say, I understand that because I said to the person, if I'm going to state something, I'm going to make sure that I have some proof to back it up. So the person goes on to say, I understand that. Do you know the Rubin report? This was months ago that I saw it, but Rubin had a great guest, or rather had a guest on who was an ex-cop. I think, and he explained about BLM. I've since searched for written information, but haven't found anything, which doesn't mean it's not true. It just means it's not something written about, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been either. What kind of shit is that? What is that? I don't understand that.
To me, I remember when you read that to me, I was like, what?
The person goes on to say, I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. So they basically believed it to be true because they couldn't find anything to make it false.
Right.
Which is like usually the opposite of everything that you are taught. You're not taught to just believe something. You're supposed to have a thought and then try to find proof to back it up, like you asked him to do.
Right.
And he gave you the opposite. He gave you the opposite.
I mean, it's just, it's funny. It's hilarious. And I think that's one of the issues that I face. I don't want to post something, again, we're not perfect. We're going to say, stuff that's, sounds bad, could be bad. Maybe, we're just ignorant to whatever the situation is. And, we say something because that's what we are passionate about at that moment. But we have to understand that when we post stuff out there, when we put stuff out there in the public forum, it's going to come back to haunt us at some point. Mm-hmm. At some point, especially if you do, say something bad. Hell, I had things haunt me. I don't know how many years ago. It wasn't, it was personal. But either way, we're going to be haunted by whatever it is that we put out there in a public forum. And it's I guess I feel like we have an obligation, a duty to make sure that whatever we put out there, we make sure that it is solid.
As solid as it could be.
Yes, exactly. As close to being solid as possible. Because, again, what are we sending our children? Are we saying, hey, kids, it's okay to post whatever the hell you want to because mommy and daddy are basically saying whatever they want as well. So go ahead, knock yourself out. That's basically what we're saying. No, that's dumb. It's idiotic. So, it brings me to another situation where we had a family member and I wouldn't say another because that makes it seem as if this person is a family member. It's not true. But we had a family member on our Facebook page who had made a comment or something like that about how Trump was the only president to, or not even, it was a person who commented on their page who said Trump was the only president to forego his salary. So I'm just like, what? Are you serious? Because that family member had put a thumbs up like it was true. So basically, you're lying. You're lying, and you're okay. Wait. You're okay with lying, or is it going to be basically I didn't know, but I'm still going to support this anyway?
Well, I think it's like the same thing as that person who commented. I mean, you were addressing the comment about, which was it's almost like they're daring you to disprove the belief. That's their belief. But if you're putting your belief out there, then you also are putting the opportunity to be disproved. And if you are disproved and something you think was true and isn't, then you should own up to it.
Well, own up to it or allow yourself to be proven wrong.
Yes, and be open-minded enough to listen to someone else who has a different opinion.
Right.
Because none of us have first-hand accounts of any of these things. So therefore, everything is basically opinions.
Right.
And everything is based off of your own viewpoint. So it's a subjective thing. So you can't expect everyone to agree with your opinion. That's not how the world works. So I think that was the downfall of the whole situation, is they said something that they believed was true, but when you disproved it, it was as if you're lying and you're not right.
Right.
So there goes that one.
It spiraled into this big thing, and obviously this is a Republican. I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you. Is it a Republican Democrat thing, or is it a Trump Democrat thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the argument.
I even take it less labeled. I just take it as a person who believed something that wasn't true, but because they believed, I guess, in that person or that figure, which was Trump, they believed that was true, without listening to whatever other people have to say, anything else that anybody else has to say about it. It's almost like you just want to be right because you want to be supportive.
Right.
Even if the person's not good.
That's idiotic. It's idiotic. Yeah. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. If you are doing shady things, if you're not good, you need to be removed. Like, it's as simple as that. Again, when I think of sports, right? When I think of sports, let's just say you have a coach, and that coach is the person that you basically supposed to have the faith in, believe in the system that coach is putting out. And that coach does something stupid, questionable. Are you going to be happy? No, you're going to wonder what the hell is going on. But I think a lot of the times, well, for me, I believe that it all boils down to power. It's just a power thing. You need to make sure that you have power, and that's what the United States was formed on. It was basically dudes who wanted to run things, had the power.
Well, they wanted to go by their own rules, not rules of others.
They wanted to run things. They wanted the power, and then once they got the power, they were starting to run the show. And you don't want to give up the power. Who wants to give up power? It feels good, right? It's like being a cop, for the most part. Of course, you have the good cops, and of course, you have the bad cops. But at the same time, think about this. Take a gun out of a cop's hand. He's basically a meter maid.
It's a bad connotation.
I mean, he's the guy that gives you tickets. He's a traffic cop. He's the guy who just he's the ticket person. He's the parking ticket guy who just gives you a ticket. I mean, I don't know if they carry weapons. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know if they carry guns.
Well, I would think in New York City you gotta carry something.
But I'm just saying, like, that's basically what it is. Take the gun out of the cop's hand. What do you have?
Well, to me, you just have a person.
You just have a person. That's it. It's basically like that with everybody, right? You have two people. They have to go mano a mano, man, hand to hand combat, like back in the days. Hell, I saw The Last Samurai like last week. These dudes fought hand to hand combat. That's crazy. I'm thinking Braveheart. Hand to hand, I'd be shitting bricks. I'd be afraid. But either way, the whole point is, again, it's just, it boils down to the power. So, when you have these people on the shows like CNN, like the Don Lemons and Cuomo's, the Laura Ingrams, they're basically stating their opinion, right? But they don't realize that we also have opinions, basically. It doesn't matter if you're the regular Joe, if you're a celebrity, or if you are a politician, whatever the case may be, we all have opinions. So I find it funny how Miss Laura Ingraham on Fox News basically got called out for...
She's a hypocrite.
Her biased bullshit. That's basically what it is. Again, she is appeasing her crowd, which is, what would you call them?
Fans?
I don't know. I'd call them, I can't say racist. I can't do that for everybody because not everyone is a racist who watches Fox News or whatever. But I sure as hell would think that based on what she did was kind of cheesy. We'll let you take a look for yourself. Here's Laura Ingraham, and she was in the first part of the video. She was talking about how LeBron James and Kevin Durant should just basically shut the hell up and dribble. Right? They're not. Their opinions don't matter because they're making $100 million or whatever the case may be. And she, basically shitted on them. Told them, their opinions do not matter in this situation. And then in the second part of the video, Drew Brees, the Saints QB, was kind of let go easily. Like he was given a free pass because...
because he could voice his opinion.
He could voice... Everyone has an opinion. He has an opinion. And basically it. So check out the video yourself. You tell us what you think.
It's always unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. Oh, and LeBron and Kevin, you're great players, but no one voted for you. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
Well, he's allowed to have his view about what kneeling and the flag means to him. I mean, he's a person. He has some worth, I would imagine. I mean, this is beyond football, though. This is totalitarian conduct. This is Stalinist. And by the way, on the streets of New Orleans, we're looking at live pictures. They're shouting F Drew Brees.
Wow.
That's what this moment has done to the beautiful team spirit of the New Orleans Saints.
He's a great Christian man.
Wow. He's a great Christian man, Drew Brees.
How the times have changed.
I have no idea what his religious background is, but what about LeBron James? What about Kevin Durant? What about their views? They don't matter? Is it because they're black? I mean, could it be because they're black and that's why she said that their opinions don't matter and basically, like someone once said, shut up and dribble? What kind of bullshit is that?
Well, see, I take it as, honestly, it could be that too.
Okay.
But I guess my surface answer is they are looking at and I guess you could say agreeing or disagreeing with the opinions that coincide with their beliefs. So like it's almost like stating the facts of the things that support your theory. But then there could be other facts that don't support your theory, but you disregard those because they don't go along with what you think. And I think that's what she was doing. Honestly, that's how it could appear. Underneath, there could be some bias, obviously. There could be some racism. But
I mean, it is Fox
offhand,
News. It is Fox News.
Exactly.
Right?
Offhand,
So,
I guess my surface answer is that it just didn't go along with her narrative. So therefore, that's why she's flip-flopping on it.
well, this was I don't know. When did she make that comment? I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I didn't
She
look
got
through it.
suspended for that thing with LeBron. I remember that.
She got suspended?
I believe she got
didn't even know
suspended,
that.
and I could end up searching it while we're talking.
Wow.
But
didn't
I
even know
believe
that.
she got suspended and she lost a few sponsors. And that's probably why she got suspended, because she lost a few sponsors.
Right.
And that's not new to her either. She's been suspended or lost sponsors for other controversial statements.
Of course. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're gonna say something like that, about LeBron James, and then with Drew Brees, all of a sudden he has a right to his opinion. I think everybody has a right to an opinion.
Exactly.
I think everyone should be able to say whatever they want to say, and I think, for the most part, a lot of celebrities and athletes should be the one to say what they feel, because again, I do believe that if a celebrity has the platform, they're going to be able to reach a lot of people, millions of people. And the only thing that you'd have to worry about is your contract. If you're going to get another movie deal, you know what I mean?
Well, there has been actors or actresses that's been like what they call blacklisted, or
Right.
they just don't get work after a while.
Well, look at Colin Kaepernick, right?
Well, even on a different note, I remember just recently hearing Ellen DeGeneres talking about Laura Dern. And when Laura Dern played her love interest on her show, her sitcom, basically Laura Dern didn't have any projects going on for like a couple years after that.
Right.
Because
I haven't seen her
nobody,
for a while.
because, she played her gay love interest. And at that time, that was very controversial. So, basically she was blacklisted. And that's kind of what happens. And this is something, it was funny because I've also noticed what they've been calling cancel culture. Like, it's almost like you do one bad thing, or you say one thing, or you misstep, and then, you get fired, you get this, you get that completely. I don't know if I believe in that 100%.
Right.
I do believe that people can change. I do think people can, if they are willing to open their mind and be able to listen and understand, then maybe they don't need to be canceled.
Right.
But for the ones who are persistent and kind of, I don't know, reiterate their feelings and make them to be facts when they're just opinions, I think those are the ones that they maybe need a little bit of a harsher lesson. I don't know about the whole cancel culture either. I think sometimes it's a little overboard, but, I can't be judge and jury. I'm not a judge nor jury.
Well, for me, again, everyone has their opinions. Mm-hmm. Sure. I think if you really push it, if you push out a very harsh opinion that really hurts people or causes people to be harmed or whatever the case may be, especially when we have a president who's making all these crazy statements. I think it's shameful. I think it's sad. But if you honestly believe what you feel, say it. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat. It doesn't matter to me. But if you're going to say something, at least, back it up. Back it up. Don't just believe in whatever it is and just start spreading, the seeds of bullshit. Just, find out whether it's true or not. And then go on and push whatever it is that you feel. People will either accept it or they won't. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with that. But again, when it comes to these shows and, listening to all these commentators and anchors and stuff, what would you call them? Not anchors.
No, they're commentators.
Okay, so when you have, certain individuals who are important, of course, that everyone is spreading their own message, right? So in this next, clip, we have Candace Owens, who's being interviewed by Glenn Beck, right? And in a part of this interview, while Beck says that it's wrong, even if the person stabbed somebody, they still shouldn't have their neck being kneed on, right? And then he goes on to say, but he was a bad guy, right? Go ahead.
Which is basically just making excuses.
Yeah, take a listen.
George Floyd has been made into a martyr, where I think what happened was wrong. I think the cop that did it was wrong. I don't want to see that happening to a black guy, a white guy, any guy. I don't care if he just stabs somebody. If he's down on the ground and you have him, don't put your knee on his neck and kill him. That's ridiculous. Our police should not be doing that. However, this is a guy with a very long record and a very long criminal record. He was said to be cleaning up his life by his family. I hope that was true. But he was also high on fentanyl and dropped a bag of drugs that he was carrying at the time. Is this really the guy that Black America, they were very careful to pick Rosa Parks. Is this the symbol of Black America today?
I'm going to say yes, it is a symbol of Black America today, and it's a symbol of a broken culture in Black America today, and that people are not willing to talk about, again, how we contribute to our own demise. The fact that he has been held up as a martyr sickens me. George Floyd was not a good person. I don't care who wants to spin that. I don't care how CNN wants to make you think he changed his life around, or MSNBC wants you to believe he was just, after his sixth stint in prison, I think, or fifth stint in prison, really going to change things around. It's just not true. You look at the situation. Here's how I tried to see it through the eyes of the young woman who was pregnant in 2007 when a guy knocked on her door pretending that he worked for the water department. She realizes he doesn't work for the water department, attempts to slam the door in his face, only to have a Ford, pull up with 4 more men that get out of the car, one of which is George Floyd. George Floyd slams his way into her cracked door as she's trying to close it. He takes out a pistol and he holds it to her pregnant belly, threatening her and pushing her into her living room. While she is in the living room, he has another one of his armed buddies keep an eye on her as they raid her house looking for drugs and looking for money. They did not find drugs, but they did take her cell phone, and I think they took some cash, and he escaped. Fortunately, the neighbor who observed this caught the license plate, and the police were able to track down the driver of that Ford, which was George Floyd.
So basically, it's okay to kill a man because he was a bad person, from what they're saying. That is, I don't know his rap sheet. I don't know George Floyd's,
history.
History. But Beck says that it should never have happened. A cop shouldn't do that.
Yeah, and you notice that little snippet was
Right.
what?
What do
3
you mean?
seconds long?
Yeah, well, it was a short stint, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that shouldn't have happened. And yet he goes on to talk about him being a bad person. And then with Candace saying she's basically, like, I guess, fed up with him being the martyr for this movement, I guess, not realizing that it's not really him that's the martyr. It's basically everything that led up to that moment.
Well, that's what I think. I told you that for me, it equates to being the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Because we're talking about the last 3 months, and mind you, it kind of lines up with us in quarantine. But for the last 3 months, you hear about incident after incident after incident.
Right.
And it's like, when does it end? When is enough? And I think, unfortunately, this is the breaking point for a lot of people, because not only was it horrific, because I don't know if everyone has watched that video, but it's terrible. It's terrible. And it's on video. and you can see it.
It's not
And
like you can lie about it.
You can't even I'm sorry. This is my opinion. But I can't see how someone can defend a man kneeling on someone else's neck. He had him pinned down.
While you still have two others on top of him as well.
Exactly.
Where the hell is he going to go? So I don't
and
really.
the look on his face, it wasn't like he was, in defense
Right.
mode.
He
He
was
wasn't fighting him or
No.
anything. He literally was just nonchalantly kneeling on his neck.
He was laying there.
Cold, like he just had a cold stone face.
Pretty much it.
And it's just ridiculous. And he's heartless. Honestly, that's my opinion. He just looked like a heartless person.
He just didn't. He didn't give a shit.
Nope.
He didn't give a shit. He didn't care. But for me, it's not really about what Floyd's rap sheet is. It's about him. If he needed to go to jail, then he needed to go to jail.
Exactly.
I mean, it's as simple as that. If he needed to go to jail, he needed to go to jail for whatever it is. But that didn't happen because he was killed. They killed him. So, of course, that's the last straw.
And then when we were talking about this, we also brought up the fact that, and I forget his name. I think it was Nick something. The kid that killed the kids and some teachers in that high school in Florida.
Right.
That kid survived.
Yeah.
That kid was taken into custody.
It's not like he was thrown around, thrown on the ground, anything like that.
He went in there to murder people.
Right.
And yet came out of it unharmed. And you're telling me a guy who tried to pass a $20 counterfeit bill had to lose his life?
Of course not.
Like, how ridiculous is that?
He didn't even get a chance to have a trial.
Nothing.
Nothing. Zero. So yeah, when you say, when Glenn Beck says, yeah, it shouldn't have happened. The cop should have never done that. Blah 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 blah. And then he goes on to say, but he was a bad guy, pretty much. I think that's foolish, especially with Candace. The same thing. She's fed up with, I guess, Floyd being the martyr for this movement. Well, dude, like, honestly, if you got it, you'd understand that it wasn't just that. Hello, didn't we just deal with Aubrey? Weren't we dealing with that? And seeing what was happening with him jogging and then, having to get shot? Like, dude, he's unarmed.
He's unarmed. He was not committing a crime. And they took it upon themselves
to be the law.
To hunt him down.
To be the law. And that's the problem. That is exactly the issue. This is, it boils down to people trying to be powerful. You put a gun in someone's hands, what do you think they're going to have? They're going to have power over you. You're going to be their little bitch. And that's basically it. And now, obviously, when it comes to the money, when it comes to, having the power, you can make people do things that they kind of don't want to do because they want the money. They want to be, there with you. And that's exactly what goes down. So I really don't like the fact that Candace Owens, goes on to talk about whatever he did. You know what? If he did that, he should have been in jail. That's how I feel. He should have been in jail. I mean, again, things happen for a reason. People need emotional support. People need help. I get it. And that's what we should be doing. But if there was a real issue, at least let the law, the actual law, the justice system take care of it. And even at that, the justice system is bullshit.
Well, it's also flawed.
Because look at what's been happening with the presidency, with the president himself. All the bullshit that happens, the crap that goes on. I'd basically, I have to try and tell my kids, like, listen, man, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you talk to your kids and let them know that the judicial system works? How do you do that? How do you do that when they see all the crap that's happening right now from the top? How do you do that? You can't.
Well, it's funny because you try to teach your kids to tell the truth. You try to teach them to, basically walk the right line and, try to stay out of trouble and all these other things. But then they have examples of how you can beat the system.
Right.
And how that gets them ahead, those people ahead. So then what? How are you supposed to justify that to your kids?
Well, I'm just reading the comments right now, and Michelle says a lot of people just want to be cops, I guess, for the power, not to help or support, but for power and abuse. I could see that.
It's like a power trip.
True story. I wanted to be a cop, right? Mom knows. She knows that I wanted to be a cop. Because my it's weird because real quick, and then we'll move on. My goal or my feelings were to help people. So what started out as me wanting to join the Air Force to become a pilot and fly jets, right? It was to provide support for my country. But my mom said no. She said no. She said,
shot that down.
I love you. You're my only son. I can't lose you. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, Mom. I got you. So what was my next thing? Okay, I'd like to be a cop. I want to protect our people. I want to clean up the streets. Clean up all the bullshit. Guess what happened? You shouldn't be a cop. You know, you're my only son. I love you. If I lose you, you know, what do I have? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Mom. I won't be a cop. So I went into the education system because I didn't think about it. If you're able to teach our youth, teach our kids right from wrong, be there to support them, you have a better chance of making sure that there are less people who are doing bad stuff on the streets. Because before I was wanting to, you know, take care of the U.S. as a whole. That wasn't going to happen. Then I wanted to clean up the, you know, New York City as a whole. That was a lot. It's a lot to do. Mm-hmm. So the easiest thing to do was to educate my kids, my students. Any student that I come across, even coaching, work with my students. And I found that to be a hell of a lot easier and more gratifying. And that's what I enjoyed. And I'm able to do that now. So that's why it's just crazy how all this works. So when I think about, you know, everything that's going on, I have to ask myself, what do I tell my kids? What do I tell my students? How do I, you know, make them see, like, you know, the judicial system actually works when for the most part it kind of doesn't.
Well, unfortunately, there's blatant examples of how it doesn't work.
Right. And this is tough. This is really tough. So I guess moving on, one of the scenes that really made me even more sad, you know, it's just, I mean, if I wasn't sad already last week.
We were actually watching TV that night, remember? And
yeah.
It just happened that we caught it on TV and we were like, wait, what?
Yeah. I felt like, you know, for me, this was just like, you know, it was sad to me because, again, it's just like, dude, are you serious? Like, do you not have any kind of, you know, do you not have a heart? Do you not have any sense in you? But anyway, it was an older man who had approached some cops. I forgot where. I think it was Buffalo, right? It was Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And he approached them. I'm not too sure if it was to give them the helmet or to say so, whatever it was, but he wasn't aggressive or nothing.
He didn't bum rush him.
Yeah, nothing like that. So he approached one officer, and that officer that he approached, he didn't do anything. It was the officer behind him who moved in and then started to shove him with another officer, and basically it just, I don't know, watch this.
He is bleeding! He's out of his ear! He's bleeding out of his ear! He's bleeding out of his ear! Get a medic! What the f*** walking up on me? I'm gonna grab! Y'all don't want this shit!
Back up! Back up! Get off the steps! Let's go! Get back!
How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel when you watch that?
Again, how can anyone justify that?
And you know the crazy thing is, what was it? The officers who were charged, I guess, who were fired or something like that?
No, first they were suspended.
Okay.
Without pay.
Right.
But they're not fired, and then now they were charged.
Right. But what happened to the other officers within that group?
Oh, the other 57 of them?
Was it 57 or 53?
I think it was 57.
Okay.
Resigned from that emergency post.
So they resigned from that. They removed themselves from that post in support of the two who were charged. How does that work? And supposedly they didn't want to do it. It was the police union who had them do it. How does that make you feel? May I be so bold as to say they were all white?
I think they were pretty much all white people.
Predominantly white, right? Mm-hmm. So, and the old man was white.
And the old man was visibly old. It wasn't like, one of those where you're not sure how old he is.
Right, exactly.
You could tell he was old.
Exactly. So, where in there was there a need for aggression by the officers? Where in there was there a need to make sure that older white man needed to be taught a lesson or something? And I guess they
posed a threat.
Yeah, I guess they would say, well, it's the job. They're supposed to sweep through. They're sweeping through. And that's why, it was, I've seen all the comments. It was foolish of the guy or whatever to do that because, he should have learned. He should have known better than to do that. Dude, if that was my grandfather, if that was it, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be rip shit if I saw that. I was already pissed off at the fact that happened to begin with. The dude was literally bleeding through his ears. Mm-hmm. People die from that. I know of an older man who actually died because he fell on the concrete, hit his head on the concrete, and he died. It's crazy. But that's okay.
Well, this is just one example of some of the other things that we've seen over the last, like I said, 14 days of protests, where there's just been these outlandish, I don't even know, responses by some of the officers to people that are not a threat.
Right. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
This is just another example of that.
So
and
this
is, I guess, to equate it to the whole comment that Miss Candace said about making Mr. George Floyd a martyr.
A martyr. Yeah.
So now are we making the older man the martyr of how not to police the crowd? Well, you figure what was Trump's words, right? What was Trump's word when he wanted to make sure that we pretty much listened? He was the law. What was it? He wanted to bring back law and order.
Yeah. So he was, he wanted to make sure that the government, the governors rather,
he wanted them to militarize the National Guard,
right?
To come in to bring back law and order from the protesters,
right?
How ridiculous.
And going back to the older man, it was, and again, this is one of the most powerful things too, because smart dude. What's his name? Kumail. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was on Twitter and he made this.
He's for people that don't know, he's an actor, comedian. He's been in various things.
Yeah. He goes on to make this statement. So going to based on that video, the Buffalo PD officially said that the man tripped and fell. If we didn't have video, there would have been no accountability. Why? Because one bad apple pushed him down, but 20 good apples would have let him get away with it. It's systemic. And that's exactly what the issue is. That's exactly what the issue is. And you see it from the top. You see the bullshit that's happening from the top. And even though these politicians know that it is messed up, they still go along with it.
Yep.
They still go along with it because they want to keep their positions.
Yep. They fear losing their seats.
Right? They lose their seats. What's going to happen to them? These are old people. What the hell are they going to do? They're not going to go work. A lot
of them are career politicians, which means basically they haven't worked doing other stuff for quite a long time.
Right.
So that's why I think that sometimes things don't change because they just kind of go with the flow. And it was funny because we were talking about how when one president comes in, you know, there's things that need to be changed in laws and amendments and stuff. And then they work with the House and with the Senate to get these laws passed. And at the end of their term, whether it's 4 or 8 years, the next president then comes in. And what happens? Not to say this happens during every transition of presidents, but obviously this happened late, this last one. You have a president who then says he basically wants to, bring down everything that the previous one did. So how is a society supposed to progress? How? It's like we take 2 steps forward and we go back 1. Because what? People don't want to change things? Because everything is perfect? It is far, far from it.
Right now, I mean, again, this is so much stuff. It's just so many things. I'm pretty sure we have a lot of stories. We've seen a lot. At this particular time, we're going to open up the line for anyone who wants to call in and share their thoughts, their feelings. It's 646-396-0846. That's 646-396-0846. And, again, it's too many things that are happening. And it's so hard to like kind of, grasp one thing and just stick with it, because again, it's a Black Lives Matter situation, and then it becomes a police brutality situation. The judicial system sucks ass. It's not fair. A lot of things are not fair. So here we are having to deal with all these important things kind of like all at once. And it's rough. It's hard.
It's basically like we came down the epicenter or the climax, or no, he called it the apex. The apex of the coronavirus, and I think now we're at that cusp of the apex of all of this issues. All of these issues, they're just compiled.
Right.
Compiled. I mean, the only other thing that I'll go back to the career politicians about is that the only thing that we can really do is vote.
Right.
And I know people kind of hype it all up because they want certain people to be taken out of office. But the reality is, if you really want change, you need to educate yourself and you need to vote.
We have a caller. Not too sure who it is, but again, hopefully you won't say anything foolish. I don't mind the conversation. Hello? Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hi.
Hello there, how are you?
I'm good. What would you like to share with us?
Okay, I think everything as a whole that's going on right now is just completely crazy. I do feel bad for those like myself, young people, young teenagers, kids, or whatever. It sucks that they have to see this nowadays, especially with what's going on. Of course, everyone should be heard, but I don't know. It's just completely crazy, especially that video that you showed. Like, I thought of, what if that's like my grandfather, like something like that would have happened, like things like that.
What would you do?
I don't know.
What would you do if that were your grandfather?
That was my grandfather. I would flip out. I would go crazy.
Do you think that the man in the video had, was there a reason to be forceful and push him?
Absolutely not.
Is that the first time you saw that video?
Yeah, was that the first time you saw the video?
That was the first time.
Wow.
And I can't get that image out of my head now.
Yeah, it's been out for the past few days, and it is quite a scene, I tell you that much. But
I mean, I've been trying to, avoid watching a lot just because it's like the same thing, over and over, and it's like it's not good to watch it,
Yeah.
So I have to put my
understand.
mind elsewhere.
Yeah. Again, we're saturated with all these scenes, videos and stuff in our head of violence, death, injuries, and it's kind of sad. But again, we have to make sure that we educate ourselves, and we have to, make sure that we double check wherever we're getting our information from, make sure you find out.
Or check various sources. Don't always depend on only one source.
Yeah. So, again, thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts. It's pretty cool. Glad you could be with us. For all the youngins, if we're able to get at least one person who's young listening, or a few rather, share that message. Make sure that they understand the importance of voting. Make sure they understand the importance of, checking stories to find out if it's true or not. Because again, you'll find a lot of misinformation. And of course, Trump wants us to believe that there's a lot of misinformation going on, and the media is the fake news. Only if it's Fox.
Well, see, again, because it doesn't fit his narrative or what he's trying to portray, then it's fake.
Right. And
I think that should be, honestly, again, you go into things with an open mind and you do your research. If you see or hear that things are continuously being referred to as fake news, hello, maybe there's not fakeness in there. Maybe there's a sense of truth in it. And maybe you might want to kind of do your own checking and find out if it's true. Going back really quickly to what you mentioned before about the comment of the person, and we literally researched it. We actually looked up what type of organization Black Lives Matter is, and if they were able to.
You mean
the comment that he said about them selling it for profit or whatever.
Yeah.
I read about 2 different articles, and one of them mentioned the fact that, number one, it's a social movement, and it is, I guess you could say, there was 3 women that started the movement. But it's basically no central leadership, which means there's 16 branches all over the world, mostly in the US and in Canada. Those branches deal with their issues under the same umbrella of Black Lives Matter. So, like, let's say, for instance, New York City could be more about, let's say, police brutality or inequities. And maybe in California, it has less to do with police brutality, but more about, racism. It's all under the same umbrella. So I found that to be interesting, which means it's not for profit. It's not a company. It's not a corporation. So that person, for us, his comment or his belief was debunked.
Right.
And that's what you have to do. If you really hear something that's outlandish and you almost like unbelievable, do a few minutes, just search it. See if that's true. I'm sure you can find sources that either collaborate or discredit what you just heard.
Right.
And then make up your own decision about it. Don't just go along with it just to go along with it.
It takes time, right? I think it takes time to do that, and I think people don't want to put in the time to search and, be corrected, get corrected.
Well, I guess search the things that mean something to you.
Right. I think that if a person is going to blatantly put out false information and not double check, not do anything like that, I think they deserve to be ridiculed. I don't know. I personally feel like they deserve to be ridiculed, because what happens is what you're doing is you're spreading crap around. Mm-hmm. If it's true, show the proof. Provide links, provide stories, whatever the case may be. Whatever it is, just provide proof. Don't just say it is what it is and then that's it.
Because I said so.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me, and it obviously, you know how I feel about it. It bothers me to the core. Now, again, I'm not going to say it's okay to say what you feel and then that's that. No, it's not okay to just say what you feel. It's basically the same way it'll be when it comes to a relationship. Like, just because you think it's right doesn't mean that you should say it. Make sure that you have all the I's dotted, the T's crossed before you do that, because you really do put harm out there for people. Because I don't know, I guess this age right now it's so easy to just manipulate people, from what I've seen. and it's crazy. Obviously, you know, I'm looking all over for shit. I'm searching because I don't want to be that asshole.
I could say this time period, I feel like the last 3 years or whatever has been like the conspiracy capital of my life. Because I've never heard so many conspiracy theories one after another and be told as if they were true.
It's called the internet.
Well,
that's what it is.
It's just ridiculous.
The internet provides you with so much information. Whether it be true or false, it is the information highway, basically, right? So if you have the chance to do it, look up whatever it is that you need to. I mean, that's pretty much it. I know, for me, I support Black Lives Matter. I support it. Because, again, at this particular time, this is what's happening. So right now, we need to support that. We need to make sure that, you know, we're able to fight for the right thing. Do the right thing. That's basically what it is. Do the right thing. And if you can't do the right thing, then you're a part of the problem. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, there's so much that we can just go into. Hell, there's a hell of a lot more, you know, stuff that we can talk about. But it's getting late. And this saves it for another time. But I'm kind of glad that for most of you that haven't seen the video or weren't sure of anything, you know, any of the stuff that was happening, I'm glad that we were able to show that to you. Again, I'm not going based on rumors. I'm going based on what a person is saying. If I see it myself, then I believe it. But of course, you know, sometimes with the media, they kind of like to edit stuff, right? So it's good to...
or things are taken out of context.
Right, they're taken out of context. So it's good to like view multiple sources of that same thing, so that way you get a better idea. And that's what I've done. And again, you can't hide stupid. You just can't hide stupid. And when we have a person in office that's supposed to be leading our country do stupid things, man, it's ridiculous. All because of the power. It's the power. That's all it is. So, again, if you have the chance to support. Do the right thing. Spike Lee's joint. I haven't seen that in a while. But yes, that's pretty much it. Last words?
No, just check out our Instagram page, goodtalks_NYC, or our website, goodtalksnyc.com. You know, I'm finally remembering it without any prompts.
Well, that's good. That is good.
It only took me, I don't know how many months.
So much love to everybody out there. Stay safe, you know, with everything that's happening, with all these weird things, you know, going on, you know, with this coronavirus that pretty much
that's still lingering and it's still around.
It's still around.
Still wear your face mask and hand sanitizers.
Yeah, just be safe. Just be mindful of what you do. Educate yourself. That is the biggest thing you can do. Educate our youth. If you can, spread the word. You know, just double check. Don't just believe everything you read, you see off the first go round. Just make sure that everything is solid, man. And that's pretty much it. Don't be a fool like most of these people that I've come across on these damn Yahoo comment thingies are. Clearly racism. Hell,
I told you I stopped reading those. It's just ridiculous.
I'm a gamer online on Xbox Live, and man, have I gone through some crap. That's for another.
I was gonna say
that's for another episode.
Like another episode.
So either way, we're out. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Again, educate yourself.
Good talks.